I suppose the last couple of years have been a strange experience for me, probably like a lot of you, in that I would spend hours during the course of a week or minutes or whatever answering emails or taking calls from either colleagues in the ACLU or in my former organization, or emails from those people who were telling me about this great guy who was going to be elected president and save the United States and install a progressive heaven all across the country.
Who's
and
that?
the thing was, is that I knew Barack Obama. And what we got and what we've gotten is Barack Obama. He is a cautious, conservative, careful politician. And nothing that he has done in 130 days or whatever it's been now, 20 days, has either surprised nor really offended. Well, the photos pissed me off. And the military commissions.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple. But the point is that none of this is a shock. None of this is surprising. And when you look at the fact that not only is he a cautious, careful politician who has surrounded himself with people who reinforce that caution and reinforce that careful nature, he has been confronted by a United States Senate that, below the cabinet level position, has resisted, has retreated, has blocked all of his other appointments. So as he's trying to release photos from DOD, the people at DOD who are telling him don't release the photos are the people who have hidden them for the last several years. It's not change. They are the same people. They're the people who have been involved in the torture conspiracy for the last 7 years. They are the people who don't want you to see those photos, because what they don't want you to know is that torture was widespread, it was brutal, it was sadistic, it involved deaths, it involved women, it involved children, and they don't want you to know that, because you know why? You'll be pissed. And then you'll demand an investigation and accountability. If right now, and I don't know about the rest of you, God, I love network TV. Meet the Press on Saturday morning. You know, I love this, and I can't remember which of the people it was, but, you know, one of the usual people who show up there who say the same damn thing because they've all been at the same party. But one of them said recently, well, you know, we all kind of know what happened. Kind of know. Close enough for me, huh? I mean, this is the nature of the Washington that we confront. Not even suggesting what it is that the president has walked into the midst of. It is the nature of what we confront. And the minute that the Justice Department begins to take steps about closing Guantanamo and moving towards trying people in civilian courts, what happens? In a very calculated, in a very concerted, and in a very orchestrated way, the right wing raises up, and for several weeks, all you hear is, well, you can't bring the Guantanamo prisoners here, and you can't bring them here, and my God, he's just going to release them onto the streets of Chicago. Is that what you want them released on the streets of Chicago? What about Kansas? God, we don't want them in Kansas. Don't bring them to Kansas. Never in Kansas. Colorado, oh God, no. And so, you know, the reaction is, from a careful, cautious, concerned, calculating politician is, well, those military tribunals don't look so bad. Maybe we can fix it. Maybe we can take something that was gerrymandered in the first place and fix it. It is absurd. And what is more absurd is the few people who speak out and talk back, because, you know, we don't want to say anything bad about the White House. We don't want to say anything bad about the people we elected to Congress. We don't want to say anything bad about the leadership in Congress because after all, you know, they are the folks that we've got to get along with. I think we've got to get over them as opposed to get along with them.
Yay!
You know, I always loved a couple of years ago when the leadership in Congress rolled over for the Bush administration, threw their legs in the air and asked them to scratch their bellies on warrantless wiretapping. Our organization did an ad in which we portrayed Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi as sheep on Capitol Hill. You know what that netted us? Not just in contributions. Private meetings with Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid.
Yay.
Yeah.
You want to keep quiet and say, let's wait till after 2012, it'll all be okay. Or after 2010 or 2012 and then 2014. It's never going to be okay. Every single outrageous step that this administration takes, including blocking these photos, renewing military commissions, not acting fast enough to end the abstinence-only funding for sexual health education, not moving fast enough on Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Every single thing that was outrageous in the Bush administration has to be met with the same sense of outrage. No election, no inauguration, and no new administration has ever brought change. Ever. The only single thing that has is when people have banded together and forced it and yelled and screamed. They're in a different place now, so we have to just yell and scream louder because the walls are higher. And all we can do is keep shouting and keep yelling. But let me say one other thing that I think is incredibly important. And that is that as important as these issues are, maybe this is one place where we ought to take a little lesson from, and I use this word loosely, our friends on the right. We ought to have an agenda that demands some level of purity from the federal level right down to the local level. It is really time that we stopped behaving like we can demand this great change at the federal level and we continue to let the city of Chicago be run like a fiefdom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It is time that we act as though somehow it is wrong to have all of the abuse and neglect that takes place at Guantanamo and Bagram, and yet Cook County runs the largest juvenile detention center in the country, and it is a hellhole to this day, despite federal court orders for them to change. We ought to make sure that while we are about the business of trying to change Don't Ask, Don't Tell and pass ENDA at the federal level, that we actually have gay marriage in a blue state like Illinois. And we should not sit still until those things happen. And that means looking around to the people here, as was suggested, to people elsewhere, and occasionally even to those strange bedfellows. It means going to elected officials' offices. It means writing them letters. It means making them uncomfortable and never accepting no for an answer. And when they do something that's wrong, we should tell them it was wrong, even if we like them a lot, to use the Adonis suggestion from before. And we ought to tell them that it was wrong and that we want something to change. And you know what? If they don't change, we ought not vote for them.
Right. That's
Primary.
Yeah.
And we ought to see that there are people against them in a primary, although I'm not an electoral expert and that's not really my level of expertise. But the fact of it is that we have spent on the progressive side of the agenda far too much time consumed about elections and thinking once an election is over that everything was solved. And it never is. Thank you very much.